platforms fall into
various
place.
platforms go. I have a lion's mane today.
You do.
I have a full
Not for me to say, since you said
it's what it is. It's a giant poof of lion's mane right now. It's because I can't wear it down because Daisy pulls on it.
Oh,
so
yeah.
it just stays up all the time.
Yes, one of her less endearing habits.
But yeah, full on lion's mane today.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Just
Sunday again.
To clarify.
You will clarify in a moment. Give them time to join us.
Yeah. Them.
I always appreciate that you're excited about telling them, though.
Well, yes, because there are people who don't know.
No, but it's you just gotta wait till everybody joins.
Sure.
Otherwise, who are you saying it to? Nobody.
I guess.
Nobody. Hang on. There we are.
So we're on Twitter. We're on Facebook.
Yep.
We're on
YouTube. Yep. And one more.
And Instagram.
That's right. Very good.
And they're all going out on separate streams.
They, sort of. Yeah.
Yeah, sort of.
Sort of.
I understand this stuff backwards and forwards.
Yep. You've got it nailed. When I describe you, you know what I say? This
Nailed.
guy, he's got it nailed.
Yep.
Hang on. Yep. There we are. There we are. Hello, everyone.
Hi, folks.
Alan says, I am here from Orlando. Jonathan, as always, in Philo, Illinois. Hello, and happy Sunday. Frank says he was just listening to the Martin Short episode today. I'm very envious of him watching a movie at Dick Donner's house with George Harrison. Yeah, right? Some of it, he didn't name drop in the way that's like, oh man, he's name dropping, but in the way that was like, I'm sorry, what? Like, who were you sitting with? What were you doing? Yeah, it's pretty incredible. Our new episode of our podcast, Maltin on Movies, with Martin Short dropped on Friday. So you can listen to that.
And we dropped as we were talking to him.
We did. We really did.
Yeah.
We both sort of
we were kind of overwhelmed.
Kind of is an understatement. We both. I'm always surprised when you are. I'm not surprised that I am.
Well, and I'm met him on a number of occasions.
Yeah.
I was even on his show.
You were
when
twice.
He had twice.
Twice.
And I was interviewed by Jiminy Glick.
Yeah. Twice.
But he just he looms so large, in my consciousness as a talent, as a comedian, as a creative person. His autobiography is very good too, and I listened to it. Your mother got the audiobook.
Yeah,
and I recommend that. It's if you're a fan of his, it's a really good book.
It's a good read or a good listen, however it is.
Right, and he's had an interesting life. Really
interesting life, and the kind of thing where it definitely could have gone different ways.
Mm-hmm.
It absolutely could have been a very different path for him.
He foresaw himself as a singer primarily.
Yeah. He loved music. He loves musical theater, which was actually the best part, because when we started talking and I told him how much I love the song Elliot Garfield Grant from The Goodbye Girl, he started singing it. He's very much one of those where, as he tells stories, he goes into his impressions, mm-hmm. and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. And he was, you and I both were sort of like, because it was so exciting to speak to him, and I think it overwhelmed us both. Jesse and Leonard, you are super. Thanks, Audrey.
Well,
You're super too.
Thank you very much.
And Victoria says, how's Daisy? Daisy's good. She's learned to clap, which is very entertaining. She's growing like crazy, and she's just this absolute tiny powerhouse of chaos. But she's so much fun.
Hi from New Zealand. Well, hello there.
Hi from your old home of New Jersey. Hello to you in New Jersey. Karen says, I wish you put out a new movie book, Leonard. The new movie. I wish there was a new movie guide. Yeah. We always talk about that. I don't think people, it's an all-consuming process to do the movie guide. And it was a whole team of people that did it, that worked on it, that edited it.
And we built up a machinery.
Yeah.
And a process to get it done on a timely. Also, it had to be done quickly.
Yeah.
Normally, in old school publishing, they used to say a book took about as long as a baby did.
Yeah.
To gestate. 9 months. and in book terms, maybe 9 to 12 months. We had to put ours out every year, every 12 months.
Mm.
And how do we do that? How do we add new reviews and make changes to the existing? All that had to be figured out.
Yeah.
And it was on a trial and error basis over the years.
And you had to plan ahead to leave holes.
Yep.
So if you knew that a movie is called Dear John, and you know that it's coming out in June, but before the book goes to bed.
Right.
The book would always go to bed, be finished sometime in June, usually mid to late June.
Yeah.
And so if they knew that a movie was coming out in, let's say, June 5th, they'd say, okay, we're going to make sure we get it in. So they'd try to leave a hole for it. Because remember, this is print. So it's not like a blog and everything else where you just hit a couple spaces.
It's typography.
You had to attempt to leave enough space, and you had to try and guess how long you needed, how much you needed. And there, for many of those years, was not an IMDb to check a cast list. So it
or running time,
Mhm.
whatever.
So it was.
They used us.
Yeah, they did. They did.
So the 1 year I thought maybe we got beaten by the system was Universal was about to release a film called Flight 93.
Yes.
It's about one of the planes that was taken down on 9/11. And very late in the game, they decided to change the name of the film to United 93. We had left a space in the F's, and we left no space in the U's. And I was determined we were going to get this movie in the book, and we did.
Mm-hmm.
I can't go into all of the hows and whys and wherefores, but I will say that the production team at Penguin, my longtime publisher, they really went the extra mile for this book because they knew that people used it. They used it themselves.
Yeah.
I use it too.
Yeah.
And so they would extend themselves and do things that they might not do for just any other book coming down the assembly line. And so we found a way to finagle it.
I mean, the amount of time it takes and the number of people it takes, it's a lot. It's a lot. And, I always say I miss the book because remember that the book existed longer than I did. I will catch up to it now. I've had about 10 years till I've caught up with your book. But, that was my whole life working on that book. It was always a big part of everything that we did. And it's still something that comes up because once you get wired to look at things a certain way, you can't stop that. So sometimes if we're watching something and you notice a character actor or somebody in the background and you go, oh my God, so-and-so's in this. I wonder if that's in the book. You pick up the book, you look, they're not listed. Normally, that was another really big thing that we enjoyed. We loved finding stuff.
That was one of the more fun
it was fun to add stuff in.
Putting the book together every year.
And,
every year somebody becomes famous who wasn't famous just a year ago.
Yeah.
Octavia Spencer.
Melissa McCarthy was a big one.
Yeah, right.
Melissa McCarthy had done a lot. And then when she sort of became more of a household name, we started adding her in to a bunch of cast lists. But yeah, it's just, it was fun. It was fun for me because I got to do more of the fun stuff.
Yeah.
I also just enjoyed when you would have me work with the galley proofs. I loved all that. But it's a lot. Anyway, so no, I love that the book meant and means so much to people. That's really precious to us. And I miss it too. But I also understand why the undertaking is one that my dad is not necessarily jumping to take on again. I get that. I get that.
And
it also means he doesn't have to see movies he doesn't want to see.
Yes.
And that's another.
It has freed me.
Yeah.
So that was a handy fallback. If I went to see a film that I didn't care for, not that I hated, but I just didn't care for, I said, well, at least I've written it up. I can write it up for the book.
Yeah.
I haven't wasted my time.
It has a purpose.
Right.
Now, it is, in fact, just a waste of time. So, I just read that Roger Mosley passed away. I swear every day. I just need to not look at the internet. I'm so thankful for that someone's uploading Entertainment Tonight reviews. Yes, somebody's been. Yeah, if you go on YouTube, a bunch of people upload them, and they're a lot of fun to watch. You didn't see the review of Elvis on the website.
No, I missed the press screening. The film opened. We went to see it, and I have some feelings about it, but I got busy with other stuff, and it kind of drifted away.
Yeah,
I should have done it late anyway. Should have still written it up. I did not. Mea culpa.
and there you go.
Now I saw a film that opened this past Friday that I saw that our friend Justin Chang reviewed in the LA Times called Resurrection.
Yeah,
Starring Rebecca Hall, who I admire greatly, and Tim Roth. And it's by a filmmaker whose work I'm not familiar with. He wrote and directed it. And it's a thriller. It's a psychological thriller. And it involves, this is not a spoiler, it involves a baby to some degree. And we're hypersensitive right
now
in this household about anything dark or dangerous involving
when it
a
comes
baby.
to babies, because we got one in the house, so
Yeah.
that makes you.
Yeah.
You
Anyway,
know.
your mother found it unpleasant. I
Mhm.
didn't find it unpleasant. I just didn't find it terribly satisfying. But I didn't have a strong feeling about it.
Sure.
And it's tough to write a review if you don't have a strong feeling, pro or con, or some way in that I can describe it so that I feel I've expressed myself,
Mm.
in a meaningful way, in a useful way. Unlike Bullet Train, which we did post a review Friday,
Mhm.
where I knew exactly how I felt about it. How I felt about it is never mind.
Which is funny because my mom liked it.
Yeah.
And I would not have seen that coming. So I do think it's interesting that that my mom liked it very much. Hi, Hassana. I love you too. Hassana's asking, have you guys seen Crimes of the Future?
No.
I have not. I don't. Do you know what that is? I don't know what it is. Tell me, friend. Has Leonard seen the pre-code classic Her Man from 1930?
Yeah, with Helen 12 Trees.
I love that name. Love whenever it comes up. Shannon says, was Leonard Maltin considered a sex symbol during his Entertainment Tonight days? So cute. Absolutely. Well, hey, Marge Simpson said that there are over 500 film critics and Leonard Maltin is the cutest one. So I stand by that. It's the David Cronenberg film, Crimes of the Future. No, have not seen it yet. Tristan says, I love you so much, Leonard Maltin. You are such a huge inspiration. That's so lovely.
That means a lot.
Yeah.
When people say things like that to me, I try to make sure they know that it's meaningful to me.
Mm.
And I thank you for that.
Martin Short was wonderful on Broadway in the show Little Me with my favorite Cy Coleman score.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he loves to perform. That's one of the things that was interesting is that my dad asked him if he and Steve Martin are going to continue, and they both just love it. So they will happily continue to do these shows. They had a big show at the Bowl, the Hollywood Bowl rather. They love it. And so they want to keep performing. And you know what? If you can, why not?
On an episode of Only Murders in the Building that we watched the other night, Steve Martin said, in passing,
mm-hmm.
his character said, well, I'm 75 and I don't think the blah, 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 blah. I said,
yeah.
Steve Martin is 75? Now, it's not that I didn't know that or couldn't have figured that out.
Yeah.
He's 5 years older than I am, approximately. I'm 71. But I was born at the end of a calendar year in December. He was born in 1945. But you don't hear people saying things like that.
No, it's a weird one. It's a weird one for sure.
And of course, he looks great.
Yeah.
He's in. Seems to be in tip-top shape.
It kind of helps that he's had white hair for so long.
Yes.
He
didn't suddenly turn.
No, he's been that for a very long time. Will you be watching Prey on Hulu? I doubt it. He will.
No. I read an interesting review. I read Owen Gleiberman's review in Variety. This is a continuation of the Predator series the 20th Century Fox has been making on and off for a couple of decades. And this one involves, I think, indigenous people.
Mm.
And he was saying that given that, it's kind of more interesting than just some brainless,
Sure.
horror movie might be. But that didn't inspire me to want to see it.
Yeah. For as terrible as this was, it could have been worse.
Yes.
What?
Now,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do show and tell later in the show, but I have one thing I want to ask you guys about. I'm asking your help. I am not the best or smartest user of the internet, and I love using newspapers.com. It's opened all sorts of doors for me and for a lot of other people who are doing research projects. It's amazing now. You can
Mhm.
find the damnedest things. Well, as collectibles go, these are pretty neat. These are very, very thin aluminum coins with relief images of.
They're much lighter than actual currency.
Right.
And this one's sticky.
Yeah. These are movie stars. These were issued in either 1932 or 33 because, for instance, here, this one says.
So the one I'm holding says Johnny Weissmuller. And on the back, it says MGM star in Tarzan and his mate.
Right.
And then it says Popsicle at the bottom.
Right. These are supposedly premiums that were given away through some mail-in or perhaps inside a package.
I'll hold them up in 1 second. They're hard to see. This one says Marie Dressler, MGM star in Tugboat Annie, and then again it says Popsicle at the bottom.
Right. And Gary Cooper.
And then this last one, Gary Cooper, and on the back it says Paramount star in Honor Bright. They're very small.
That was a working title.
Honor Bright.
That was a film he made with Shirley
Popsicle.
Temple.
Okay, so they're hard to see because they're tiny. But this
there
is Cary
are
Grant.
At least a dozen. Claudia Colbert, Clive Brooke, Clark Gable, Jean Harlow. And they're all promoting films from 1932-33. Tugboat Annie is 33, I believe. Honor Bright came out in 1934 under the title Now and Forever. But I cannot find any trace of how they were offered to the public.
Okay.
That's what I'm trying to get, like a provenance.
Okay.
For these coins. Surely there must have been an advertisement in a newspaper or magazine that Popsicle took, or somebody wrote about them or mentioned them or talked about collecting them, get the whole set, get the whole series, something like that.
Yeah. Huh.
And now I have several friends have helped me find advertising for the Alexander Korda jewelry from The Thief of Baghdad and The Jungle Book. And now I've seen newspaper ads that offer them at a specific price at a specific department store, but no luck on these coins.
Okay.
Or tokens, however you want to refer to them.
They're quite light. I'm surprised at how light they are.
Now,
someone's saying perhaps they were premiums you sent box tops in for,
yes,
or they were on cereal
entirely
boxes.
Possible.
Yeah.
Sure. What's odd about it is they've turned up on eBay in vast quantities, like what they call in the antique world a warehouse find.
Yeah.
Somebody opens up a box or a crate that hasn't been touched in decades and finds stuff like this in mint condition because it's never been circulated.
Yeah.
Never been, disseminated in any way. That might explain why there's so many of them and they're so readily available.
Yeah.
But first we got to find out.
Well, there's a bunch for sale for $1.50.
Yeah.
So that's great.
Yeah.
It says 1930s.
Some have a gold wash on them.
Yeah. That's really interesting. Normally my dad asks me to do this stuff and I really enjoy staring at I love research. I really enjoy research, except I absolutely can go down a click hole. So on eBay, so everywhere I'm looking right now, they have different names. But but if I typed in Johnny Weissmuller MGM Popsicle, and that's what some of them came up as. So we'll see. It's interesting. All the descriptions don't really, they just describe what you're looking at and
Right.
not anything else
Right.
about it.
Some of them have a more pronounced ridge around the circumference of
Yeah.
the.
How long have
of
you
the
had
coin.
these?
Oh, 10, 15 years.
Yeah. And none of your friends have been able to figure it out?
Nope, not yet.
Because normally I say that our friends are like dwarves. We have one of everything. So if you need somebody who knows everything about musical theater, we got that
Right.
guy.
Media
know?
History Digital Library and the search engine called Lantern has now digitized every fan magazine and every trade magazine. So certainly Photoplay or
Yeah.
Modern Screen or one of those magazines would have been a perfect place for Popsicle to advertise these, or for somebody to write about them.
Popsicle tokens? Yeah, Popsicle token. Let's see. Gosh, now I'm intrigued. There are 30 different movie star types or varieties, 3 animal head types, and 3 Popsicle Lucky Metal types. All are made of aluminum and measure 23 millimeters in diameter. Since most of our members probably have some of the movie star types, we have only shown the other types below. But there's no...
What is that source that you're reading?
This is a blog, someone who posts about coins. They collect coins.
Coin collectors. Okay.
So
numismatists.
Yeah. Numismatists.
Yes.
Wow.
A philatelist collects stamps and a numismatist collects coins.
No kidding. Say that 5 times fast.
No. I don't think I will.
This is so interesting. Okay, so these are listed in a man named Richard Clothier's book.
Mm-hmm.
I guess he posts about this kind of thing.
Okay.
Oh, and they've got a full list. They've got a full list of all the different
Irene
ones.
Dunn. That's another one.
They've got a full list of all of them. Clark Gable, Marion Davies, Claudette Colbert, Clive Brooke, Constance Bennett, Jack Oakey, Frederick March, Norma Shearer, Irene Dunn, Jackie Cooper, as we saw. Popsicle 10, icicle is easy to eat. Popsicles 50. I think you probably just had to send in popsicle stuff for them.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm guessing from reading all these different things. This is my guess.
If you've ever been wandering around a flea market or an antique mall, and you come upon spoons with relief figures of movie stars on the what do you call the stem of the spoon? I guess it's the stem. Well, there were 2 sets of those done, one in the teens and one in the 20s, and somebody has cataloged all of that, and I think I have a pretty complete set. But it's been codified. It's been verified, but not these. So I'm hoping get a little closer to the source. That's all. So thank you.
A few people are saying you should contact Popsicle. Is that they're saying that they must have a historian somewhere in there. You should contact Popsicle and see if someone knows. You never know.
Popsicle used to be right near where I grew up.
Yeah, in Teaneck? Where?
In Englewood.
Oh, in Englewood. There you go.
The Joe Low Corporation. Joe Low made Popsicle and Fudgicle and Creamsicle.
I honestly, I swear that everything comes out of Teaneck or around New Jersey. It's very funny. It's like every time now we look up an actor, they're inevitably from somewhere near Manchester.
Right.
My husband's from Manchester, and every time we look someone up now, we find that they're Albert Finney, Salford. Mm-hmm. That's where Scott went to college. Mm-hmm. Like, it's just like, really all the same places. It's bonkers. As I say, multiple people are saying that they think that maybe Popsicle has an on-staff archivist.
If only.
You never know. There could be.
If only.
Every now and then the internet comes through.
Ooh.
So
Scott got dark outside.
Just got great, considering that it's 1 billion degrees.
It's been so hot. It's so hot. It's painful to walk outside.
How hot is it?
It's painful to walk outside.
It's so hot. Okay. one of my friends, Trevor, asked a really interesting question to us today,
Mm-hmm.
and it's interesting because it comes at a time when I was just. So the other day, I said to my dad, "What ended the studio system?" Because these are the kinds of things that I like to ask him. Oh yeah, Doug Grievous is he's put in the contact at Popsicle. I have a feeling if we send an email to general email to Popsicle and say, "Hi, we'd like to know about your history," there's a solid chance that they'll go, "What?" But we can try. Okay. So the other day I said to my dad, what brought an end to the studio system? And you said,
Several things happened at once. It was the immediate aftermath of World War II, and a lot of the big stars coming back who had served, Jimmy Stewart, others who had served overseas, and directors and writers too, wanted to have more control. And agents like Lou Wasserman, who happened to be Mr. Stewart's agent, said, "You should own the pictures you make. You should own a piece of the movies you make." And famously, the example is given of Winchester 73 from 1950, which was a hit movie made for Universal International, and he profited from that much more than he would have as a salaried actor. Gregory Peck once said to me, there's a name drop. Gregory Peck once said to me, Clark Gable never made more than $3,500 a week in his career. I've been producing my own movies for 25 years, whatever. So that changed the way the ball game was played. Secondly, after interruption for war, the U.S. government, the Justice Department, enforced the consent decree against Paramount and the other studios, saying that they could no longer own the theater chains that played their movies, which means they lost the ability to have an automatic booking,
guaranteed booking,
in hundreds and hundreds of theaters, no matter the quality of the film. And then the third blow was television. Television, which really boomed. We've lived through the internet boom, not dissimilar. 1949, I think, is when Howdy Doody went on the air on the NBC network, and then followed by Milton Berle. And then suddenly everybody wanted to know somebody who owned a TV set. On Tuesday night, you could go and watch the Texaco Star Theater with Milton Berle. And then every year it multiplied and kept people away from movie theaters, which is why in the early 50s, they developed Cinerama, 3D, CinemaScope, stereophonic sound, all of those things to lure you out of your living room and back into the theaters. And it only worked to some small degree. So with that, the studios were no longer able to do business as usual. And it started dismantling the studio system. It didn't die overnight. It didn't just fall down. It lingered. It lingered to the late 60s, actually, in various ways. The End by Leonard Maltin.
And that's my answer. So it was interesting when my friend Trevor sent me this message, and he said, a question for your broadcast today. Patton Oswalt recently told The Guardian that he sees commonality between the current Marvel/Disney model and the latter-day studio system in Hollywood. Do you and Leonard see any overlap with the studio system days of Hollywood? Patton seems to regard it as a good thing. If you do see any similarities, would a return to the studio system model necessarily be a good thing? And then he included the article, which I read, that's really interesting. So yeah.
Well, Patton's a very smart guy, in addition to being a talented fellow and a busy one.
Yeah, always.
I don't know. I mean, Marvel is a studio. It is a studio unto itself.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
owned by Disney,
Yeah.
but it is its own studio, and so it has a stock company. It has continuing characters.
Yeah.
That's all in common with the old studio days, but it doesn't have a physical plant, which studios did, and it doesn't have. I guess they have some of those actors under contract, though.
Yeah.
They must.
Yeah.
And is it true of writers and cinematographers and visual effects artists too? I don't know.
Mm.
That was true in the old days. You could do everything when you
In-house.
In-house.
Yeah.
Everything. And I was talking about,
which is what Funko does.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what. Well, you've seen it. That's what Funko does. That's the whole thing. Is they have every single thing under one roof there, and that's what makes it so interesting. There's this fascinating guy named Fawn Davis.
Yes.
And he has a studio here called Funko, Fonco. And the way that I first found out about it is that a friend of mine is an incredible costume designer. Incredible. And her company was called Castle Corsetry, but it has changed now to Lauren Saint Laurent. But she makes whatever you want, she can make for you. It's one of those kinds of things. And one of her specialties for many years, which is why they were called Castle Corsetry, were corsets. And but basically, when you go into Funko, they can make anything. They have areas to film. They have green screen. They have stuntmen there who train as well as perform. They have a whole area of building. What Fawn is famous for is he builds things like robots. A lot of sort of creatures that you see in Star Wars, he built a number of those. But yeah, it's a fascinating place to go into because it is a one-stop shop. They have every single thing around there.
It is a great place to see.
And it's small, which I love because it feels really, I don't know, it feels like a community. Like a tight-knit community.
And it was the last person to try doing this in a serious way was Francis Coppola.
Mm-hmm.
When he bought the General Service Studio in Hollywood in the early 80s and made a film called One from the Heart there. And he hired Gene Kelly as a consultant. He hired Michael Powell of Powell and Pressburger as a consultant. And he wanted to have actors and writers and musicians literally under one roof.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, the overhead, that's the word I was looking for. Overhead for doing something
it's
like that.
It's a lot.
It just makes it unwieldy.
Yeah.
And impractical.
Well, and that's what, so someone like Peter Jackson in New Zealand, part of why he is revered the way he is revered is because he essentially keeps the area employed. And I'm not joking when I say that. He keeps them employed. And that's part of why he started building more so that they could be doing things year round that were not just for him. He's a very special guy. And he and his wife are an incredible team. And they really do. I mean, he built, they can make any kind of military vehicle you're looking for, tank, whatever you want, they can do that.
And, well, Rick Baker used to do the same thing when he had a shop.
Yeah, that's true.
The problem with having a full-time business in this world of show business is that you don't have 52 weeks of work.
Yeah. And you have to figure out when you're going to be working.
There's a gap between one movie ending and another movie beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So they would come up with make-work projects, like something to keep them occupied. And Peter Jackson showed us, he took us on a wonderful tour of this facility.
We were in New Zealand and he welcomed us in, and it was very, very generous and very, very kind.
And the one thing I've never forgotten, the plastic chainmail.
Yeah. Yeah.
The kind of armor that you see knights in the movies like Ivanhoe or some of the Lord of the Rings even wearing. They figured out how to fabricate it out of very lightweight plastic, but it looks real. It looks like they're dragging these.
Yeah, my two favorite things. I loved all the miniatures.
Yep.
Because that was fascinating. But I also loved having my mom as a scale measurement because my mom is very small And the stuff that we were looking at was in many cases massive. And so I loved having tiny Alice next to this giant statue. So many of my pictures use her, and it makes me laugh, which I'm just going to mention real quick. Someone says, your wife is so adorable. Will she ever return to the stream? I hope she knows she's missed. Alice is the best. My mom's the best. She is right now taking care of my daughter so that I can do this. And hopefully if there's another Sunday when my husband is not working, he can watch her and then my mom can join us. So yeah. It is really interesting thinking about those systems, thinking about having everything in one place, what effect it has. And then of course there are a number of directors/writers who keep their sort of company, even though it's not written. So when you have someone like Christopher Guest,
Yeah.
And if you're Christopher Guest and you know that your guys are the best, you know that you have Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara and all these people, why would you change? Why, when you have the most talented people?
Yep.
You have Michael McKean and everybody else. It's like, don't mess with it. Don't mess with it. It's perfect. And whether it's Coen Brothers or anybody else, there's a handful of people who rely on their team. And as I say, why wouldn't they? But that doesn't necessarily have a name. There's not sort of a name for that. It's just kind of, to me, like an old school troupe, something like that. Let me pull up some of your questions. 1 second. And oh man, my mom came in to watch Daisy, my daughter, and put on TCM, as we always do, and Singing in the Rain was on. And I'm not going to lie, coming up here to you guys was difficult because walking out on Singing in the Rain, no matter how many times you've watched it, is difficult. All right, let's see some of your questions here, my friends.
Jennifer Coolidge in Best in Show. Yes, indeed.
Oh.
Jennifer Coolidge is getting a lot of attention because she's nominated for her first Emmy Award for White Lotus. And Variety just did a big feature piece on her. And Mary McNamara wrote a very nice interview feature for the LA Times the other day. And she's a little bit dazzled by all the sudden attention.
Oh, because she's been working for how long?
Yeah.
No, she's really talented. Always has been. See, people don't understand that playing it straight, that not laughing at certain things, it's not easy. It's not easy to be the person who just stays like this as, even when she's being ridiculous, you have to just, I love her. I do not like White Lotus, but I think she's fantastic. White Lotus, what a miserable show. My God. People like, what in the... Anyway, I know some people love it, but it's what a
unappealing characters.
What a miserable group of humans. Why would you want to spend time with them? Emily says, I would like to hear your thoughts on Jordan Peele's Nope, if you haven't exhausted that one already.
No, I haven't exhausted it, and I'm happy to talk about it. And I'm glad I saw it in a theater with an audience.
Yep.
And I found it a letdown. I think Get Out is an absolutely sensational piece of movie making.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it heralded the arrival of a great new talent. They'd done that movie. They wrote the movie about the bird.
Yeah.
They didn't direct it.
Yeah.
Key and Peele.
It's the cat. It's the cat. Yeah.
And they had nothing to prove. They're from their TV series. You already knew how much they had on the ball.
Very funny, very interesting.
Get Out is a great movie. Us left me cold.
Keanu is the cat movie.
That's right.
Yeah.
Us, his next film as writer-director, left me cold.
I did not like that movie.
Just left me cold.
I did not like that
This
movie.
one pulled me in. It's intriguing. And then it's just a series of teases that don't resolve. And then at the end, when you find out what it really is about, is so mundane in a sense. And I'm not going to say it because a lot of you haven't seen it yet, so I won't do a spoiler. But when you find out what it really is about, it's like, that's what this is all about. No, big disappointment.
Wanda says women of my age crave for same age actresses because after everything we've been through in life, we want someone relatable, i.e., Jennifer Coolidge. Oh, absolutely. No, her character in White Lotus is extremely relatable, even though it can be wacky at times. No, as I say, I think she's fantastic. I really do. And I am happy that she's getting attention because she should. And absolutely, it's part of why people who did you ever see the Emma Thompson one, the recent one where she?
No, still haven't watched it.
There's a recent movie where she takes on a younger lover, and people sort of went, "Yeah, you go, Emma Thompson." It's true. You want to see people who look like you. You want to see people who represent you. It's not just sort of Hollywood nip-tucked 12-year-olds. I get it, and I'm with you. Matt Burns says, recently my movie club held a session in which the theme was movies that have not aged well. There's a long list of those. And his pick was Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Well, there's
which has some glaring cringe amidst the charm and iconic moments. I think Mickey Rooney's performance is and was a hand-over face moment in any viewing era. Do you guys have a film that you feel hasn't aged well upon a revisit?
Breakfast at Tiffany's is like a litmus test.
Yeah, that's rough.
But if you trimmed all those cutaways of Mickey Rooney's out of it,
yeah.
I think it remains a charming film of its time, very much of its time. My friend Sam Wasson wrote a very good best-selling book called 5 a.m. I'll never get the title out.
It's okay.
About the making of Breakfast at Tiffany's. And it's a wonderful book, and I recommend it very highly. But he points out that the little black dress didn't really exist as an iconic garment until Audrey Hepburn wore it in that movie.
Yeah. Just real quick, Kay says, I really enjoyed The Great Man Votes. Thank you for presenting it to the TCM audience.
Thank you for enjoying it.
Yes.
It's a charming little film.
Yeah. In terms of, to be honest, it's not so much that we've watched a lot of movies that haven't aged well. We've watched a lot of cartoons that haven't aged well recently. That's awkward. In terms of films, it's funny. Sometimes it's just that it's too much of its time. Like it can be sort of over the top or a bit much. It's funny though. So Mommy and I, yesterday we were watching TCM again, as we usually are, and Two for the Road was on. And Audrey Hepburn looks so skinny. And I mean like sickly skinny.
Yeah.
Like not attractive, like looks ill. And I said to my mom, I said, I can't, how do you watch this and not focus on the fact that she looks ill? And my mom's theory is that because she grew up where she did and in Belgium and the war and everything, that she was just permanently hungry. And that's how she learned to exist, which who knows? But it was very distracting to me that she looked ill.
Interesting.
It's like she's wearing all this very fitted clothing and it's just, she's like skin and bones. And that I found very distracting because how do you not look at that and think this is not okay?
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that doesn't age. And then there's stuff that you just have to accept as it is, you have to just sort of accept that.
I talked to someone in the critical community in LA who's teaching a course on Disney animation. Disney.
Whenever he's recording
Disney
anything, whenever he's
animation.
filming anything and he has to say Disney when he's reading from a prompter, he always says Disney. I have to go Disney.
And I asked him about how students regarded Dumbo. And he said, well, they had trouble with the character called Jim Crow, a very painful pun, and the other black crows. But at the end of the film, he said, Dumbo is with them. So he's kind of found his community.
Mm-hmm.
And that struck them as very contemporary. You have to find your people.
Yeah.
And they found that very relatable.
Yeah. But that in a nutshell is why you need to watch things for yourself.
Hmm.
You know, that to me is very much why you need to watch things for yourself, because you may have a very different reaction to someone else. That's Victoria saying Seven Brides for Seven Brothers makes me cringe, but I know how loved it is. See, I don't find it cringeworthy. I just don't. It's kind of the way I always feel when someone tells me that it's sexist or whatever else is I say, it's not, because look at how Millie owns all of them. You have these big, strong men who think that they're in charge, but teeny tiny Millie is really the one who says, you're doing it wrong, you're doing it wrong, you're doing it wrong. This is going to get you nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, they are thwarted repeatedly.
Yeah, by her.
By her.
And then changed completely by the other women. You know,
yeah.
The men change everything about themselves because they realize that they have to do that to be able to win over these women. And they change for the better. So yeah, so to me, it's not cringy. There are moments that are ridiculous, but you know. Oh, Wanda says, you are my favorite guest that we've had at the Luncheon Society. I hope we can have you back for Oscar
that's nice.
season.
Thank you very much for that. Seven Brides, incidentally, not so incidentally, written by 4 people, 2 of them female.
Yeah. Hasana says, love Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. It's a great leap in the future of the female voice on screen. Save the kidnappings. Yes. Minus those little kidnappings. Hey, look, anybody could make a mistake and then accidentally scream a bunch in the past and make all the snow fall down so nobody can come and rescue them. That could be anybody. Anybody could have that happen. Anyway, yeah, it's tricky to look at things with today's eyes. I won't say trouble, but we got into a heated argument. We were on someone's show, and we stand by that you have to look at things as they are. And you can't, in our opinion, you shouldn't judge it with today's eyes.
And we were discussing Pleasantville.
Specifically, the film Pleasantville. And they brought up several different issues that they had with it. Not the least of which is that there are not very many people of color in the film, to which we said, but this is supposed to take place in sort of a 1950s TV sitcom.
Yeah.
And they were trying to make it realistic. So why? And there are some people, there are some in there, but not a lot. And it's like, but because that's what it was doing. And they said, no, everyone should have to make everything for everyone all of the time. That was essentially their argument. Everything must be like this all of the time. You should include everybody regardless. And, you know, what I would say is if it was made now, that would probably be the case.
Yeah.
You know, but it's not. It's something like 20 years old. And so we just said, you know, I wouldn't look at it in this way. And they were having none of it. Because to them, they are just quite judgmental. And again, and that's their choice. That's the thing. That's completely their call. You can be judgmental if you like. That's fine. But to yell, 1998. Isn't that crazy? 1998 is Pleasantville. But I even think the way in the film that they have the colored section, which is the people who start to if you've never seen Pleasantville, this makes no sense. But people who become enlightened stop being black and white, they become color. And they put them in the upstairs of this courtroom scene, and the black and white people are on the bottom. And the age that I was at this point when I saw that, when I was starting to learn about that history, and we were reading things like To Kill a Mockingbird and what have you, I was like, oh, wow, that's really powerful. That's how I felt watching it, that's really powerful. That you can do that and you can make it so obvious. And yeah, they just weren't having any of it. So if you'd like to find fault with all things, you can. But yeah, yeah. When I say colored, I mean very literally colored in from black and white. So yeah, it's, you know, as I say, everybody's going to do whatever they want to do. That's okay. That's their decision. We can't fix it though. You know, you can't. Some people, there's no arguing, or rather, I don't like to argue. I like to discuss. And if it's an argument, then meh. I resent that was derogatory towards old movies. Yeah, well, that's the thing. Is it's like, I think it's fantastic now that there's so much. And I think that it's really important for us to not get rid of the movies that have certain things, because people have to see them to understand. What do they always say over and over again? If you erase history, you repeat it, right? So if you stop showing people blackface, and I don't mean like in an enjoyment sense, I mean like, here's a thing that used to exist. I cannot believe this was a thing that was ever acceptable. Well, it prevents, it's saying, let's not ever do this again. Let's be careful. Let's not make fun of each other in that way. If you take it all away, it's like, then what happens? I don't know.
Context.
Context is pretty flippin' important, if and you ask me. So 1 second, I'm pulling up your other questions. Yeah, as a questions, Mr. Maltin. I know a few people were asking if you've seen any of the other movies that are out right now and if you liked any of them. And no, you did not like Bullet Train.
No.
Das Recent, and you were not a fan.
It's from a style of filmmaking. The same guy directed Deadpool 2 and The Atomic Blonde.
Mm-hmm.
It's this super kinetic, action, violent, smart ass, all those elements.
Yeah.
And it's not my cup of tea.
No. We were talking about how it doesn't make sense. A lot of people don't know the difference between wit and sarcasm. And something is not immediately clever just because you're a smartass, and I don't think a lot of people realize that. So sometimes these movies, they make jokes or they make flippant comments, and you're like, that wasn't clever. That was you just cursed. It wasn't anything worth anything.
That's why I turned off The Gray Man.
Which I haven't even bothered with, because the fact that my husband turned it off after 5 minutes. Ryan Terry says, what is one actor or director you've wanted to interview that you weren't able to?
Oh, well, I was supposed to fly to Montreal to interview Federico Fellini, who was scheduled to make an appearance there. And then I think he fell ill and he had to cancel that trip. And so there went a golden opportunity. It would have been wonderful to talk to him. There was a little sliver of hope for Brando at one time on location in Canada. That didn't come to pass. And Stanley Kubrick. They laid the foundation for my interviewing him for Entertainment Tonight. And ultimately he said, no, I can't do that. No. He didn't want to appear on television, period.
Have you read The Wind Done Gone, a parody novel written from the Black perspective? Oh, I've Gone with the Wind. I've heard about it, but I have not read it. Yeah. No. Ryan says, also in the theme of books, since I know it's your all-time favorite film, do you have a favorite book about Casablanca?
No, I have several, and they're all good. They're all good.
What's one of them?
One by Algene Harmitz, and one by someone else.
One by someone else who's not Algene Harmitz. I'm so excited for the Tulsa King series with Sylvester Stallone. Yeah, there's so much coming. I can't really keep up. We try to just sort of follow it as it comes, because otherwise it's too many things. And
your mother and I just started watching The Bear.
Yeah, The Bear.
And we're in it now.
Yeah.
2 episodes in. Okay, I'm ready for more.
My husband and I started the Sandman. I don't know yet. I'm not sure if I like it yet.
I'm going to try that too.
Yeah, we'll see, because I don't know.
Algene Harmitz's book is called Round Up the Usual Suspects. Thank you for that.
Yes, indeed.
I think Harlan Lebo wrote a good book on that too.
And like, are American movies getting worse? If so, do you see them getting better?
No and no. A lot of the people I most admire who work in the independent sector or have worked in the
Mhm.
independent sector are now doing streaming television
Yeah.
because it's where the jobs are and
Yeah.
it's where the
Money,
intelligent writing
support.
is. You know, the, the people who made Little Miss Sunshine.
Yeah.
You know, Jonathan Dayton and
Well, the fact that the Duplass brothers work with Netflix tells you a lot.
yeah.
You know,
I mean,
and they get a lot of support.
Yeah, and that's where those would be indie movies. Would have been indie movies at one time.
Yeah, absolutely.
People did We Closed or We Crashed.
We Crashed.
We
That was
Crashed.
on Apple.
Right.
That was on Apple. Victoria says, who would you tell TCM that they keep neglecting in Somewhere Under the Stars? Who do you think, Victoria? Who do you think that they're neglecting?
Well, I think last year, the year before, they finally did a day of Thelma Todd, so they caught up with that.
That's his main girlfriend. So let's see what you got.
Okay. It didn't take long for people to figure out ways to market silent movies. And so one of the first things that people did was ink blotters. Everybody used ink blotters because you used fountain pens, and blotters were the blotter. So here is from the teens, from the late teens, from a theater on Broadway, I presume New York's Broadway, that's advertising 3 upcoming films.
3 exceptional offerings. Never anything like it. William S. Hart in an exciting, powerful dress suit drama. Dress suit is in quotation marks. Branding Broadway. Entirely different. Douglas Fairbanks in a picturization of Augustus Thomas's famous thrilling play, Arizona. The season's great picture, the wonderful Anita Stewart in the best fiction of the year, Virtuous Wives.
And notice
a daring story of modern society.
Notice that each one is only playing for 3 days.
Yeah.
3 or 4 days at tops. So this is, early advertising using a fairly obvious means of getting the word out there.
Ink.
But that doesn't mean that they weren't thinking future.
Have you ever tried to play it is the question.
Yeah. The people at Path A sent out...
Hear the stars speak to you. Is it Aileen or Aline?
Aline.
Aline Ray, Walter Miller. Hear Path A's famous serial stars speak to you. Play on your phonograph without removing from card. Really?
Yeah.
Have you tried?
No.
Then what are you even doing with your life? Why haven't you tried?
Between now and next week, we should do it.
You really should.
Isn't that incredible? I mean, it's just...
Yeah, that's really neat.
Sending out a recorded message from stars whose voices you could not hear in the movie theater.
Yeah, wow. I wonder if they did that a lot. Like, I wonder if there are many of those.
I have a Jackie Coogan record. But
of course you do.
That's a standard record.
Guys, that's a standard record.
Okay, and here is from 1940 calendars. Some theaters changed their bill as many as 4 or 5 times a week. And in those days, and Hollywood was producing enough titles to fill all those theater slots. It's equivalent to television today. But here is program for the month, December 1940. Bing Crosby and Mary Martin in Rhythm on the River is booked for the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd days of
December
of the month.
I can hear Daisy.
And on the back, so that you make the best, most use of
Screenland gossip.
Yeah.
I am in.
Fan magazine fodder on the back.
I am in for this.
With a hole here to thumbtack through. Amazing.
I love it.
And this theater, which is the Tivoli Theater in Leroy, Minnesota, Walt Rasmussen, manager.
Oh,
Evening
won't.
shows were at 7:30 and 9:15. You didn't have to look up
Right.
anything.
They're at the same time.
Evening shows 7:30, 9:15.
Mm-hmm.
And now they showed some B movies as their main attraction, like Blondie on a Budget with Penny Singleton and Arthur Lake.
Well, maybe they didn't feel that they were B movies. Maybe they disagree with you.
Coming May 3rd, 5 big days, Grapes of Wrath.
Grapes of Wrath. Grapes of one of the most depressing movies you will ever watch in your brilliant film. One of the most depressing movies you will ever watch in your life. Jesus. First time I saw that movie was at the Alex. You
Yep.
did an event for the Alex and we watched it. And I sat there with my mother going, do people watch this for fun? Like, is this a thing you do for fun?
No, it's the thing you do when you want to watch a hard-hitting movie
Woof.
about the Depression
Woof.
and its after effects. And we had 3 cast members there. We had Doris Bowden, who later married the great screenwriter Nunnally Johnson. She was Doris Johnson. Daryl Hickman, who's still alive and well, and Shirley Mills. They were the kids. Daryl and Shirley were 2 of the kids of the Joad family. And they all had vivid memories of shooting the film with Mr. Ford, and even some of the second unit work that Otto Brouwer did when they sent that wagon out on the road. And I remember how.
Sorry, I'm just thinking about the dead grandmother. I'm just having a moment. Where do you keep your dead grandmother? In the front seat. Doesn't everyone keep their dead grandmother in the front seat? Egads. Man, no, that we will never forget. Yeah, I know we lost Clue Gulliger. Yeah. And the folks at the New Beverly have put a message up to him on the English marquee. That's the one. Do you have any more stuff?
No.
Okay.
No, just a few items today because I wanted to spend some time on the Popsicle coins.
Yes.
And I hope we can.
We will see. Oh yeah, a few people are asking if you've seen the Woodward Newman doc.
Yes, The Last Movie Stars by Ethan Hawke. Mm-hmm. A really fine piece of work. I got an advanced screening link, and Alice and I watched. I think we watched one episode, then we watched the other 5 hours in a row, because we learned so much. The takeaway from that is how undervalued Joanne Woodward was, because Paul Newman was such.
Yeah. Well, Daddy, the salad dressing alone, No, I will say, I love that people make jokes about all the Paul Newman stuff. It's delicious, but also, isn't it amazing that people will still know who he is because of this, and it's charity. And it's charity,
and it's done so much good, and they've been successful. They've made millions of dollars.
And if you didn't know, it goes to charity. Like all the little, the other day at Ralph's, I was looking at the salad dressings, and they put Newman in there's like a little beret for the French dressing, and he's like flipping a pizza for the Italian dressing, and I put them all in a row, and I was like, part of me thinks this is terrible, but the other part realizes what a fantastic charity it is, and it tastes good, so I can't argue.
Yeah, and the conceit of the documentary that you have to have other actors reading their words works. It works. It did for me anyway. By the end of the first hour, I was in. I was hooked.
Kent says, watching A Big Hand for the Little Lady with Woodward today.
Mm-hmm.
It's there's so much out there. Alan wants Nita Talbot Day for Summer of the Stars. Yeah, I like all of it. I'll watch any of those days, especially if you're not familiar with somebody. It's great because you have a whole day of them to watch, and you can really sort of learn about different people. We always talk about how I think it's really tough for a person to discover films that people tell them are brilliant, because that's just not the way to walk into something. It's not fair. It's not fair to you. It's not fair to the film. Because if I say, oh, this is the greatest movie ever made, that's a lot of pressure on you. and on it. And there's no point, there's nothing to be gained. So it's better not to. Oh, I know what you just saw. You see how his little face perked up? Because Steven said, how about a Charlie Chase Film Festival on TCM? His little face just perked right on up because he loves Charlie Chase so much. I love it.
The recent Criterion Blu-ray release of Leo McCarey's wonderful film Love Affair has two Charlie Chase two-reelers that McCarey directed. And
are you very happy?
I'm very happy.
And you
yes,
are very
I'm
happy.
very happy.
I will leave you with this. Why can my father never leave my mother? What's the threat?
Oh, the Charlie Chase collection.
She'll take the Charlie Chase collection. If you are wondering how my parents made it this far, my mother's threat is that she will take his Charlie Chase collection.
But she married me for my Robert Benchley collection.
True. Married you for the Robert Benchley, but if you leave her, she's taking Charlie. So that's
just the way it is.
You have to figure these things out, folks.
It's just
you got to
the way
just
it
figure
is.
out what works for you in your various relationships. If it's Benchley, if it's Chase, you just, you do what you need to do. Hasana says, work queen. That's right. Alice knows what's up. As always, friends, we will see you next Sunday. And we're very grateful to you for joining us today. We appreciate it. I think this might have been the quietest. I dare say that. Both the dogs are asleep over there. And I've only heard my kids scream like twice. So this is a good day. Everybody take good care of yourselves. We will see you soon. If you have any guesses about my dad's coins, about this little coin collection, I know I'm going to keep looking things up. You can always tweet at him or me or any of the things. Take care.
Be kind, everybody.